From one tank to another tank, ASU's heir apparent to Cam Skattebo is former Army running back Kanye Udoh.
You are Locked On Sun Devils, your daily podcast on the Arizona State Sun Devils. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Sun Devils podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. My name is Richie Bradshaw, and I will be your guide for everything Arizona State Sun Devils. I have a shout out to my everydayers who are here every day. Thanks to all of you for making us your first listen of the day. Guys, this is why you should have your notifications on if you are subscribed to Locked On Sun Devils. And if you're not, hit that subscribe button because I'm going to keep you up to date with breaking news just like this. Former Army running back Kanye Udoh has officially transferred to your Arizona State University Sun Devils. And this is a pretty big deal. ASU, first of all, the last several years, under different regimes, mind you, ASU has just brought in terrific transfer portal running backs. Cam Skattebo, who will be replaced by Kanye Udo. We're going to talk about that during this show. You had Xavier Valade before that. You had Rashad White before that. They have found really good production and really good players through the transfer portal. And Udo has the chance to be the next guy in line for that. I got my reactions to start this before we talk about what the future looks like for the Sun Devils. My reaction, pretty darn excited. I was on the phone call with my grandma, and unfortunately I said, Grandma, I love you to pieces. I got to go. I got to record a podcast. This is pretty big news. I didn't see you reported it first. I saw the report from Chris Karpman of Sun Devil Source. I don't know if it was somebody else, but this is huge for Arizona State. They are going to have to replace Cam Skattebo next year. The People's running back and the People's Heisman will go down as one of the all-time Sun Devils and one of the greatest running backs in the program's history. Replacing him is not going to be easy. And I have talked about a pretty darn solid committee approach for next year. That would include Relike Brown, Kyson Brown, Jason Brown, Alt McCaskill. And I think that group was more than good enough to collectively get it done. I've hyped up Kyson Brown as a next-level running back. Relike Brown is super exciting, and he's going to be an electric playmaker, especially in the passing game for you. Jason Brown is also a really exciting kid. We barely got to see him this year, but the former four-star kid from O'Day High School in Washington State, this is an exciting group, man. Like, you've got those three kids. You've got Alt McCaskill, who is a veteran running back for you, and now you're introducing Kanye Udo into this backfield to be that guy for you. If the season started today, if the 2025 season were starting today, Kanye Udo is running back one for this team. If you are unfamiliar with him, he had 179 carries this year, 1,117 yards, 6.2 yards per carry, 10 touchdowns on the ground. That was second on the team for Army because it's Army. But even the year before that, 99 carries, 524 yards, that's 5.3 a pop, one touchdown. So a little over 1,600 yards and 11 touchdowns through two seasons. Excuse me. One of the questions that I had and a lot of people had was, how can you enter the transfer portal from a military academy? Army, Air Force, Navy, like, that doesn't make sense. Well, it turns out that you do not enlist until after your third year with that university military academy, right? So this was 2 years at Army for Kanye Udo. So if he did not leave this year, he would have enlisted next year for the program. He is opting to go to Arizona State to further his career. I can't speak for him. I have no idea what his plans are. All I know is he is a really good football player who helped Army become one of the best stories in college football this year and is now coming to Arizona State to help continue making the Sun Devils one of the best stories in college football. ASU took the world by storm this year. We know that because we've talked about this 1.5 million times on this show, especially over the last month and a half. Udo was one of the faces of Army's football team this year. As good as they were, an 11-2 football team went to the the All-American Conference at AAC? That sounds right. The All-American Conference Championship game, Army was number 22 in the nation. And Udo was one of the main faces for that unit. Him entering the transfer portal, to say it caught people off guard would be an understatement for a multitude of reasons. Again, we talked about like, how does a kid in a military academy enter the transfer portal? Obviously, we got our answer, but we also just weren't expecting this caliber of player to be available. And he comes and visits Arizona State, and obviously the visit went very, very well. I'm sure that he got a lot of great conversations with running backs coach Sean Aguano, who, if you look at his track record at Arizona State over the last several years with the running backs he's worked with, yeah, you understand why a guy like Udo, who, if his dream is now to go to the next level and be an NFL player, this is a great spot for him. You're also talking about an offense that literally runs it through the run game. Cam Skattebo powered this thing over the last 2 years at Arizona State, whether they were really bad or they were really good like they were this year. The offense ran through Cam Skattebo. So Kanye Udo has the chance to inherit that same kind of role. It's 6 foot, 215 pounds. This is a bruiser back. Now, he only has 2 catches in his career, but that's at Army. They don't really throw the ball a lot. So I'm not going to lie to you. I don't know that we can fairly evaluate if he catches the football, because Army just doesn't throw the football much. They threw it a little more this year. And by a little more, I mean they had a ton more success. But those military academies are run first for a reason. I have no idea if Udo can catch the football. That's something that will be a storyline during the offseason. Let's see where it goes. That's my instant reaction for you. Very, very excited. Coming up next on the show, and we're going to wrap it up with this. This is going to be a very brief episode for you guys. We're going to talk about how this fits in for the future of the program. We've teased it a little bit. We're going to talk about it in a little more detail coming up next. This is the Locked On Sun Devils podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Let me tell you about our friends over at Game Time, because Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see all your favorite teams play live even easier. And Game Time Picks is going to filter out the fluff and only show you incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste your time searching through thousands of tickets. The curation process makes it easier to save more on sports, concerts, comedy, theater events, and more. Toggle their all-in pricing feature, and you'll see the total up front with no surprise fees at checkout. You can get a panoramic view of your seat in the app before you buy, so you know what to expect when you arrive. And their lowest price guarantee means that Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference if you find tickets in the same section and row for less. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry on top of all of that. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE. That's Locked On College for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. It's also time to talk to you about our friends at Rocket Mortgage. Did Rocket Mortgage help find any subscriptions that you forgot about or that maybe you were paying for twice? Because that has happened to me, and that's why I got Rocket Mortgage to clean up my accounts heading into the new year. I had subscriptions I didn't even realize I was paying for. Rocket Money made it easy to track them all down. It's like having a personal assistant for your finances. Rocket Money is my personal favorite finance app, and it helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitor your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. It brings everything together in one place, whether it's subscriptions, your spending habits, or even the goals you want to hit this year. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all the app's premium features. For me, like I said, I was paying a lot of money for a lot of apps and a lot of subscriptions. I didn't even realize I was. For someone who's already tight on bills, that was pretty stressful. So I used Rocket Money to cancel those services that I wasn't using anymore, and I'm saving a ton of money now, which makes saving money, obviously, way easier. Plus, with their goals feature, I've been able to automatically set money aside for my future. No more stressing about budgeting every month. Cancel your unwanted subscription and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockedon today. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. rocketmoney.com/lockedon. You guys are the best, as always, for tuning in and making Locked On Sun Devils your first listen of the day. All right. How does this fit in for the future? Here's a fun fact for you. ASU, if you compare how much they passed the ball this year to how much they ran the ball this year, it's a pretty big discrepancy. ASU had 334 passing attempts this year between 5 different players, which did include Canyon Floyd and Cam Skattebo. Sam Levitt accounted for 304 of those passing attempts. He did miss a game. They ran the ball 542 times. It's a lot. 263 of them came from Cam Skattebo. So a little more than half of that, or a little less than half of that. I don't know. I'm not doing math well off the top of my head. That's a lot of carries, and he also missed a game. Sam Levitt had 97 carries by himself. Even if you take away the 16 sacks he took, that's still 81 carries, right? Yeah, 81 carries for him. Kyson Brown had 68. Carlos Brooks had 37. Jeff Sims had 24. They ran the heck out of the football this year, not just with Cam Skattebo. They got a ton of guys involved. It turned into 28 touchdowns. They were 4.8 yards per carry, 2,585 yards. That was a huge portion of their offense. You are going to lose 263 of those carries with Cam Skattebo running out of eligibility. You're going to lose 37 carries from DeCarlos Brooks running out of eligibility. Who knows what happens with the rest of this crew? Hopefully you return the guys. There's no promises when it comes to the transfer portal. I really don't want to lose anyone. I don't want to lose Kyson, especially. Kyson Brown is one of the guys that's like a must keep for me. Who knows? I don't know what he is set on, and I'm not going to try and speak for him. We will see what happens. Having Kanye Udo to plug in is going to be a massive step for you to be able to make sure that you can continue to be a run-heavy, if not run-first offense. You're going to be plugging in 179 carries that he had from this past year. Of Cam Skattebo's 263, it's obviously not nearly as much. But you also consider that Army spreads the ball around and a lot of different players touch the ball out of the backfield. He could easily, if everything works out and he lives up to his potential, he could easily have 200 carries next year. We could also see him have 150 carries. And the next running back, Kyson Brown or whoever, have 150 carries as well. There is no guarantees that ASU is not going to go to a committee backfield and just use 3 or 4 different guys, which I think would lead to a lot of success, or if they stick with a lead horse. That was Kyson Brown as a favorite. I'm not going to lie. With Udo here, Udo is, I wouldn't say it's his job to lose, but it kind of feels like it's his job to lose. This is a phenomenal pickup for ASU. In the Kenny Dillingham era, when you look at the transfer portal, not his recruiting classes, the transfer portal, this is up there initially, and if it works out, we could see it even better. I will tell you right now, I'd put it top 10 for sure. Your number one and number two are very obviously Sam Levin and Cam Skattebo in whatever order you would like to put them in. And then you've brought in a lot of really quality guys as well. We will see with Udo, based off of talent, fit, and the potential value that he provides for this team. He already feels like a top 10 ad through the transfer portal in 3 years for Kenny Dillingham. And if he works out, he could be even higher. He is a true junior for the team. ASU will have a maximum of 2 years to be able to use him in whatever way they see fit, whether that is being a power back and a bell cow or a part-time guy, or again, who knows? This dude could be a really good receiver, and we just don't know because he has 2 career catches for 3 yards. We have no idea. The opportunities haven't been there for him because Army doesn't really air out the football. We're going to find out. But the bottom line here is the talent alone that Kanye Udo possesses is something that should get Arizona State fans beyond excited about. Having to replace Cam Skattebo was going to be the most daunting challenge that the Sun Devils have faced in a long time. This would be up there with replacing Jaden Daniels. Like, I can't think of steeper mountains to overcome for this Sun Devils program over the last 10, 15 years than it will be to replace Cam Skattebo, an all-time Sun Devil. And they're going to have to figure out how to do it. But adding Kanye Udo, yeah, that's a pretty good start to figuring it out. In a perfect world where you get the guys back, in a perfect world, having Kyson Brown and Kanye Udo as your 1-2 punch to be thunder and more thunder will break the will of defenses. Having guys like Raleek Brown and Jason Brown being able to be those pass catchers helps you out as well. Alt McCaskill, we didn't see him much this year. I hope they get him more involved next year because the talent is there for him to be a star. We'll see what ends up happening there, but ASU could have a collective approach to replace Cam Skattebo. Like I said, you could see 150 carries each for Brown and for Udo. You could see Udo have 200 carries and Kyson Brown have close to 100 carries. He had 68 carries this year with a start for Cam Skattebo when he was out against UCF. I am totally confident with Kyson being the starter, and if he beat out Kanye Udo, I wouldn't be surprised one bit because Kyson is a very good running back. I've said many times, I said earlier on the show, I'll reiterate it, he is potentially a next-level running back. We'll see what happens. All I know is the addition of Kanye Udo should put to rest any concerns that ASU fans have about how you replace Cam Skattebo. There's not a single individual that replaces him. But this is a deep room. It was already a good-looking room, but it just got deeper and more talented. ASU should be just fine next year. They may not even have a 1,000-yard rusher. But if you get 800 yards each from Udo and from Kyson Brown, collective amounts from everybody else as well. Handful, 100 yards from Raleek and Jason and Alton and whoever. You're just fine. You don't need another guy to have a Heisman-level performance on the season the way that Cam Skattebo did if you have a collection of guys who can do it. And on paper, ASU has that. What do you guys think? Are you as excited about this move as I am? What do you think about the future of this backfield? Let me know in the comments. You can hit me up on Twitter at Richie Bradshaw36 and the show at LO_Sun Devils. Wherever you're getting your shows, hit like, subscribe, turn on notifications so you get that update when we post new content and breaking news podcasts just like this one. I appreciate you guys as always. Best fans in the world. I'll catch you next time. Until then, you keep it locked right here on Locked On Sun.